started. So we're going to come to a nice, easy seated pose. And we're going to start to focus on our breath. So take a deep breath in and relax. And deep breath in again. And relax. And deep breath. Now as we go through this sequence, I want you to remember, because we haven't done this in a while, that the most important part is to make sure that you're breathing through the poses. Inhale and exhale, and that you're not holding your breath. I'm going to take 2 more deep breaths. And 1 last breath. All right, now let's take and do a couple of shoulder rolls. So roll your head over to the right, inhale, and exhale to the left. And roll, inhale to the right. To the left, sorry. And exhale to the right. And let's do 2 more at your own pace. All right. So now let's do some seated cat-cow. So we're going to take our hands out in front of us, interlace your fingers, and we're going to go inhale all the way up, and exhale, just round your back out, and inhale all the way up, and exhale, round your back, and 1 more, inhale all the way up, and exhale, round your back. Okay, let's just do a gentle twist. So left hand on your right knee, right hand behind, and you're going to look up and back. Deep inhale, and as you exhale, see if you can't just turn a little bit further. And we're going to go to the other side. So right hand on your left knee. Make sure that you're not sinking into your back. Your back should be tall, belly engaged. And inhale, and as you exhale, see if you can't turn a little bit further to the back. And release. Okay, so now we're going to stretch out our wrists a little bit. So take your wrist in front of you and place your hand over your knuckles and just push on your hand gently until you feel a stretch on the back of your wrist. And then take it and put your hand across your fingers and pull back. I'm going to do that 2 more times. And 1 last time, and we're going to switch to the other side. So hands over your knuckles, and you're going to push back and flex, and again, and flex, and again, and 1 last time. All right, and then just take your right arm across your chest and stretch out your shoulder. And bring your other arm across as you inhale and exhale. All right, now we're just going to do some shoulder extensions and retractions. So we're going to put our arms straight out, hands flexed, and we're going to move our hands away from our body and then retract them in so your shoulder blades touch. Well, try to touch your shoulder blades. Okay, and then exhale, bring them out, and inhale, retract them in, exhale out, and inhale to retract in, and one last time, and retract. All right, now let's come up to a standing pose. You're going to come to the edge of your mat. We're going to start with a slow, gentle, floppy twist, just warming up your body, getting the snow fluids flowing. All right. And as you're ready, just fold forward and just hang in a gentle ragdoll. Do some gentle movements just to warm up your back. Okay, and now I'm going to have you take your hands and place them underneath your feet. You can bend your knees. And you're just going to kind of sort of press forward onto your wrists as you pull up with your shoulders. And that's going to stretch out your shoulders and your wrists at the same time. And inhale, and exhale, release. All right, so we're going to start in Tadasana. Remember, your feet are grounded, all four corners of your feet are grounded, belly is engaged, thighs are engaged, your butt is gently rolled downwards, shoulders are rolling down your back, and your head is tall. Okay, and we're going to inhale, look up, and exhale. Come on down, touch your toes, you can bend your knees. And then inhale, come up to flat back. And exhale, back down. And then strong legs, come all the way up. All right, now we're going to start our sun salutation A. So we're going to come all the way up to the top. And forward fold. And inhale, flat back, and forward fold. And now you will need your hands flat on the ground. So if you have to bend your knees, you can bend your knees. All right, and we're going to just step back to plank. And then exhale, chaturanga. And then inhale to cobra. So you're rounding your back up. But you don't want your neck to be squished, so just nice and tall up. And then exhale down. And we're going to come up to down dog. All right, so in down dog, remember, your hands are grounded into the floor. Your heels are reaching towards the floor. Belly is engaged. Shoulders are engaged so that your insides of your elbows are facing each other. Okay, your quadriceps are engaged. And your sit bones are reaching towards the ceiling. And we're just going to take 5 deep breaths. So inhale and exhale. Okay, relax your shoulders down your back. And again. And one more time. All right. Now we're just going to gently walk back up, and we're going to do that 2 more times. All right, so let's flow. Arms up to the sky, and fold forward. Inhale to flat back. And exhale down. And step back to plank. And down to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale all the way up to down dog. And another 5 breaths. Belly engaged, thighs engaged, heels reaching towards the floor. It's okay if they don't touch. Your shoulders are engaged and you're reaching your sit bones to the sky. And deep breathing, relaxed breathing. If at any point this becomes too much for you, you can always bring your knees down into child's pose. And one more deep breath. And we're going to walk up. And inhale, flat back. And down. And then inhale all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. And exhale. And step back to plank. And then down, chaturanga. And inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. Another 5 breaths here. Remember to keep your arms engaged, your shoulders rolled down your back. Engage your belly. Thighs are strong. Sit bones reaching towards the sky. And remember to breathe, relax, let go of any thoughts that are coming through, and just focus on your breath. And one more deep breath. And we're going to walk up to the center. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, fold. And inhale, up to the sky. And now we're going to do a half sun B salutation. So we're going to bring our arms up to the sky. And then we're going to sit back, bring our butt back, bring your hands to your feet, and then inhale and bring your arms up to the sky, still in a seated position. And come back up. All right, now we're going to flow into sun salutation B. So inhale, arms up to the sky, and fold down, and arms up, and fold again. Lift your sit bones up to forward fold, and step back to plank, and chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, and exhale, down dog. Now inhale and bring your right foot forward, turn your rear foot at a 45-degree angle, and come up to warrior one. Make sure that your knee is stacked over your ankle and that your hips are both facing forward. You can adjust your rear foot so that you become stable in this pose. And then exhale, back to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. And we're going to inhale, and we're going to bring our left foot forward. Okay? And take a few breaths here. Remember, your belly is strong, engaged. Your quadriceps are engaged. Your knee is stacked over your ankle. And your hips are rotated so they're facing the front wall. Another deep breath, and then down to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, and exhale, down dog. And we're going to walk this forward. Okay. And now inhale, bend your knees, arms up, and forward fold, and strong legs up to the ceiling. And we're going to do that again. So inhale, up and down, arms up to the sky. Make sure that you're comfortable and that your abdomen is engaged. And exhale, forward fold. And step back to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, right foot forward. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Hips are facing forward. Knee is stacked over your ankle. Belly is engaged. And strong quadriceps. Take a couple breaths here. And then exhale, come down to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. And inhale, bring your left foot forward. And come up to warrior one. Make sure that your hips are facing the front of your room and your knee is stacked over the ankle. Belly's engaged. Take a couple of strong breaths here. Shoulders roll down the back. And exhale. Come down to chaturanga. And inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And walk forward. And bend your knees, arms up to the sky. And straight up. All right, last one on this. Inhale up to the sky. And exhale. Okay. And inhale, arms up. And exhale, down to chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, right foot forward, arms up to the sky. Remember, your hips are facing the front of the room. Your thighs are strong, knee is over your ankle. Take a couple breaths here. Belly's engaged. Shoulders rolling down your back. This is a very powerful pose. And exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Bring your left leg forward. And come up to warrior one. Remember that your thighs are engaged, your glutes are engaged, as well as your hamstrings. Your belly's engaged, shoulders are strong but rolled down your back. This pose works every muscle in your body. A couple of strong breaths here. And exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. Let's take a couple of breaths in down dog. Remember, all four corners of your hands are ground into the earth. Your shoulders are strong. Your shoulder blades are away from your ears, broad across the back, belly's engaged. And we're going to walk up, forward fold, squat down, and then arms up to the sky, and straight up. All right. Now we're going to move into warrior two. So just turn your left foot out to the side. Bring your arms up so you're like you're reaching towards either side of the room. And then bend your front knee. Make sure that your knee is stacked over your ankle. Your belly's engaged. Spine is tall. And you're looking over your front middle finger. Then we're just going to breathe for a couple of seconds. And then turn your front palm up. Bring your back arm down your back leg. Arm up to the sky in reverse warrior. And let's come down into extended side angle. So an extended side angle, your knee is stacked over your ankle. Your left pinky is facing the floor, and there should be a nice line from your back foot all the way up through your fingertips. Okay, belly's engaged, looking up towards your finger. And let's breathe here for a couple of seconds. Make sure your thighs are engaged and that you're not sinking into the pose. You want to be strong in this pose. And now let's flow for three from here to reverse warrior. So inhale, reverse warrior, and exhale, extended side angle. And inhale, reverse warrior, exhale, extended side angle. And one more time. Inhale, reverse warrior, and exhale, extended side angle. All right, now straighten your front knee and face front. You're going to take both arms. You're going to shift over to your right and then come down. You can bring your hand either on your shin, on your knee, whatever's comfortable. Make sure your belly's engaged. And then shoulders rolled away from your ears. And you want to keep your shoulders in line with your hips so that you're not like this. Okay, and then gaze up if you can at your left hand. And if this is difficult for you and you feel like you're not in balance, you can take your back leg and move it further back so that you have a wider base to keep yourself stable. And once again, if you can only reach your knee, that's fine also. Your shin, some people can reach their toes. I'm not there yet. All right. Now, we're going to come up and face the front of the room. And then take your left arm towards the outside of your right ankle. And as you're balanced, try and turn your head to look at the sky. You can keep your hand on your hip. If this is too hard, you can take a block and put your hand on a block. And if at any time this is too hard, you can bend your knee. If you're feeling comfortable in this pose, take your right arm and bring it up to the sky. This is much easier if your belly is tucked in. And then let's exhale. Oops. And come up. Triangle. And now take your block about an inch or so in front of your right toe. And then slowly work your way up to half moon. Your back foot is flexed. Your thighs are engaged, your belly's engaged. And when you feel steady in this posture, you can either leave your hand on your hips, or you can bring your arm up to the sky and gradually look up at your arm in half moon. And then let's come back to triangle. And we're going to go to warrior two on the other side. Okay? All right, so bend your front leg, your left knee. Bring both arms out as if you're reaching towards either wall. Belly's engaged. And gaze over your front middle fingers in warrior two. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And one more. You can adjust your pose to where you feel comfortable but strong. Okay, and then turn your front palm up and bring your back arm down your leg as you look up at your palm. And then exhale into side angle pose. Now, in side angle pose, remember your belly's engaged, your thigh is stacked over your ankle, your knee is stacked over your ankle, pinky facing the floor, and there should be a straight line from your heel all the way to your fingertips. If this pose is very easy, you can do two variations. One, which will increase the stretch, is to bring your hand to the outside of your ankle. And the other, which will increase the work on your obliques, is to bring your right arm out in front of you. Okay? But now we're going to flow back to reverse warrior. Inhale up and exhale, side angle. Inhale up and exhale, side angle. And one more time, inhale up and exhale, side angle. All right, now come up, straighten your left knee and shift your shoulders over, and then come into triangle on your left side. And once again, hand on your knee or your shin, and shoulders down the back, nice and relaxed. And if you're comfortable, you can look up at your right hand and take a couple deep breaths here. And then we're going to come up and we're going to face the front of the room. Now remember, sometimes you may need to adjust your base so that you're strong in the pose. And you can feel free to do that at any point that you feel off balance or unstable. All right, now both arms up to the sky on an inhale, and we're going to exhale and bring our left hand to the outside of our right ankle. Once again, you can use a block if you need to, and start to look towards the ceiling. If you're unstable, you can widen your base. And if you're comfortable right here, you can bring your arm up to the ceiling as you gaze up at your arm. And a couple breaths. Okay, and then let's get our block, and we're gonna come out of that pose and put our block about an inch and 2 or 3 inches, wherever you feel is good, in front of your left toe. And then slowly, gradually come up into half moon. And you can flex. You want your back, your raised leg with your ankle flexed. And when you feel steady, you can either bring your hand to your hip, or if you're steady here, which I'm not today, you can bring your arm up to the sky and then slowly bring your arm up. And it's obviously okay if you fall out of the pose. Everybody does, even people who've been doing it for years like me. All right, and then as you're ready, we're going to come back into center, arms out, and then bring yourself back to your front of your mat. All right, now we're going to work our way down to the floor. So you can either do a vinyasa or you can just get down on the floor. So a vinyasa is basically arms up to the sky, forward fold, straight back to chaturanga, And inhale, cobra. And just come back into child's pose. And we're going to take a few breaths to settle in here. All right, now you're going to need both your blocks for this next little sequence. So this sequence is going to help you to learn to engage your core so that when you're lifting up, all the weight is not completely in your arms. You're lifting up with your core. And that will make things a lot easier on your wrists and your shoulders because you won't be sinking into them trying to force everything up with those small little joints. Your abdomen will be pulling up, and that takes off a lot of pressure, okay? So the first move we're gonna do, put your blocks right by the front of your knees on either side of you. So they're lined up with your thighs. And we're gonna inhale and exhale. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna roll up onto the front of your toes and bring your knees to your chest. As you do this, you wanna make sure your belly's very strong. Don't lift with your hands. You're gonna lift with your abdomen and bring your knees to your chest, okay? The only weight you want in your hands is just for stabilizing. Your belly should be fully engaged here, okay? And take a breath here, we're gonna hold it. And one last breath, and release. All right, how is that? Okay, now we're gonna take the blocks on the high side, and we're gonna do the same thing. But we're gonna try to bring our knees even closer to our chest, okay? So this time you may wanna take your blocks closer into your hips, all right? So they're just in front of your hip bones, all right? Now inhale and roll your knees into your chest. No weight in your hands. And just stabilize and breathe. Belly's fully engaged here. And 2 more deep breaths. Relax your shoulders. And then roll down. All right, now the next one is very challenging. And if you're unable to do it, that's fine. Just do the move we just did. All right, so we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna come up on the fronts of our feet, our knees to our chest. And now I want you to bring your knees up to your chest and try to bring your toes up off the floor, okay? And if that's too challenging, then you're just gonna come to the previous move where you're just bringing your knees to your chest and engaging your belly, okay? And let that go. So that was just a short sequence so that you could see how when you engage your belly, you take a lot of weight out of your hands. And sometimes people don't realize how much their abdomens can, if you really engage your belly, how much easier things can become. All right, now we can put our blocks, we're gonna use one block, and now we're gonna do some poses that are gonna help strengthen your shoulders and your upper back, all right? So take your block and put it in front of you, and take your hands, your palms, flat on the ground on either side of the block, okay? And now bring your elbows to the floor, and we're gonna come up into what's called a dolphin plank. So just bring one leg out at a time, okay? And your belly's engaged, you're pushing up from your shoulders, You're not sinking in, you're pushing up from your shoulders, and we're gonna hold for 5 breaths. And one last breath. And bring your knees down and come back into child's pose. And you can come forward into cobra. And then exhale into down dog. All right, and now make sure that your hand is outside, either side of your block again. And we're gonna just bring our elbows down. Our feet are still in the same place, our butt is still reaching towards the ceiling. And we're gonna inhale and slowly just walk our feet a few steps forward. Okay, now this should feel really tight in your shoulders, but that's okay. We're gonna just breathe 1 deep breath. And then you can bring your knees down into child's pose. And come back into cobra. Inhale. And back to down dog. All right, now, once again, we're kind of building on this pose. So if that pose was very challenging for you, then you want to just try that pose again. If it was easy, you're gonna come back in, bring your arms back down, walk your feet into dolphin pose, and then bring one leg up to the sky and take a couple deep breaths. And bring the leg back down, bend your knees, child's pose, and to cobra. Inhale, and back to downward dog. And one last time. Bring your elbows down into dolphin. Walk your feet in until you feel your shoulders strong. And bring your left leg up to the sky and take a couple deep breaths. And back down to child's pose. And we're going to go into puppy pose. So take both your blocks in front of you. Put your hands on your blocks. And then keep your hips up like a tabletop, but bring your arms out over your blocks and bring your head and chest towards the floor in puppy pose to stretch out those shoulders. And we'll take some nice breaths here. All right, now you can move your blocks to the side. Most of the hard work's done. And we're going to come down and inhale up to cobra. And back to child pose. And now we're just going to come onto our bellies. And we're going to take both our arms out in front of us. And inhale. And you can bring both your arms out in front of you. And exhale down. And now we're going to inhale and bring our legs up. Okay, and on this, when you lift your legs up, you want to engage your hamstrings and lightly engage your buttocks. You don't want to squeeze your buttocks too tight because that will put strain on your lower back. So it's basically working your lower back and not your glutes. And release. And now we're going to inhale And we're going to bring both the arms and the legs up at the same time, like you're reaching towards the wall with your hands and the back wall with your feet. So inhale, reach, 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 and exhale down. And one more time, inhale, reach, and exhale down. Great job. All right, now let's go over onto our backs, and we're going to do bridge pose. All right, so bring your heels in and your feet, your knees and feet about hip width apart, and lay on your back with your arms relaxed next to your hips. And we're gonna take a big inhale and then exhale, rise up to bridge. Okay, make sure your belly is engaged. Your knees are square with your hips. You don't want them coming in and touching, and you don't want them splitting out, because then you put pressure on your lower back. When your knees are square with your hips, your lower back stays safe. Okay, so let's just take a few deep breaths here, and exhale. Relax your shoulders, and inhale, and exhale. And once again, your belly is engaged and your lower back is engaged, and your glutes are only lightly engaged because we're keeping our lower back safe. So inhale and exhale. And let's do one more. Inhale and exhale, and slowly lower back down to the floor. And you can bring your knees into your chest to just release that lower back. And then let's come up onto our knees. Okay, and we're going to do camel pose. Now with this, you can use your blocks for this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare for camel pose. So we're going to take our hips forward. Okay, our knees stay square, and our lower legs are parallel to each other. They're not, your toes aren't touching, they're not splayed out, they're just parallel. I'm going to take our hips and we're going to push them a little bit forward, okay? And then we're going to put our hands under our rib cage, and we're going to inhale and try to just bring our rib cage straight up to the sky. So we're lengthening the spine, okay? And take a breath or two in this and see how that feels. Your shoulders are relaxed and you're lengthening in your spine. And then as you're ready, you can either put your hands on your hips and slowly lean back. And if that is good for you, you can stay there. And if it's a little easy, you can take your blocks by your heels and lean back into that. And if that's still easy for you, take your hands, remembering to stay lifted in your spine, you can take your hands to your heels and slowly bring your head back. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Now, if you find it a little difficult to breathe when you're in a back bend pose, it's because we're putting some pressure on the lungs. So it creates some anxiety in the body. So sometimes you might notice some emotions come out. You may feel a little anxious. You may feel like you can't catch your breath and that you really want to come out of the pose. Come out of the pose if you need to. But back bends help a lot with anxiety. It teaches you to breathe through stress. And so if you can breathe through a full back bend, you can breathe through a lot of stress. And you can actually relieve some anxiety that way. Forward folds help you to relax. And so that's where we're headed next, is into a forward fold. All right, so come over on your hips. And we're gonna stretch our body tall. Take your hands down beside your hip bones, and we're just gonna lift up a little. So try to lift your butt up off the floor using your belly like we learned earlier. And let it go. Now, inhale and fold forward. And you can bring your hands wherever they're comfortable. You know, if they're on your knees, if they're on your ankles or your feet, whatever it is, just come down as far as you're able. And then inhale and lift up, straight back. And exhale and slowly relax into the forward fold. And we're going to hold this for a little while. All right? So if the stretch starts to feel really intense in your hamstrings, just release out of the fold a little bit. Or bend your knees a little bit. Okay? Because sometimes if your hamstrings are tight, forward folding can really be an intense stretch. All right? And so let's take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, see if you can't just fold maybe a millimeter forward. Belly's tucked in. And we're just going to relax here. And every time you inhale and exhale, see if you can't just relax a little bit more. So flexibility is about letting go and releasing. Most people are inflexible, one because of lack of use, but the other is because when the body starts to feel that stretch, it wants to plunge up as a safety measure. And your mind says, oh, can't do that. But if you just stay in the forward fold and you relax, deep breathe, don't hold your breath, and just relax, eventually your body won't feel so nervous and it won't clench up so much, and you'll start to release. This can take a while, but you have to just work past that initial wanting to tighten up and just breathe through it. So let's take another 3 deep breaths here. And just release as you can. And just imagine yourself breathing deep into the back of your hamstrings. And then as you exhale, you've just opened up so much more space in there. And one more deep breath. And exhale. And then inhale, straighten your back up. And exhale, we're going to come out to sitting. And now let's take our legs out in front of us in a little bit of a straddle. We're not doing splits here, we're just stretching a different part of our hamstrings and in our inner thighs now, okay? So first, I want you to sit up tall, okay? And this may be all you can do, is just be able to sit up tall with your legs open. If this is easy for you, you can bring your hands to the front, maybe rest them on a block. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we're just going to relax the muscles. Just tell your muscles to relax as you exhale. And then inhale, and exhale. And slowly, as you feel, you can just go a little bit deeper into the pose every time you exhale. And with stretching, you should feel sensation, sometimes an intense sensation, but you should not feel any sharp pains. If you're feeling sharp pains, you're stretching way too much. And exhale. And one more deep breath. And exhale. Now take your right arm, we'll take both your arms out in front of you, and then walk them over to your right. And we're gonna take a couple deep breaths. Remember, every time you exhale, just try to release. Even if it's just a millimeter, you're still getting growth. And if you can't stretch anymore today, then that's where you're at, as long as you're breathing. And then let's walk back to the center. Kind of adjust your hips a little bit to release that. And then we're gonna walk over to your left. I'm gonna take a couple deep breaths here. Inhale, and then just relax into the stretch. Make sure you're not rounding your back, because that puts a lot of pressure on your lower back. So you want to keep your lower back engaged, kind of like you're bringing your hips forward instead of rounding your back. And then inhale and exhale. You guys are doing great today. And now let's just come right back to the front and come up to sitting. Take your feet and see if you can bring your heels and toes together. All right, you may want to adjust a little bit. Just try to release your hips, your hip flexors, and sit up tall. Inhale and exhale. And as you exhale, maybe you can bring your heels in just a little closer to your body. But in order to do that, you want to make sure that you can maintain a straight back. If you have to roll over, then that's not going to help the stretch. And another deep breath. And then inhale. And as you exhale, maybe bring your heels in just a tiny bit closer. And then put your hands beneath your knees and support your knees and your hip flexors and bring your knees up, okay? Now we're going to take our right heel towards our left buttock and our left heel towards our right buttock. And we're going to come up into shoelace pose. If this is inaccessible to you today, then just take your heel to your inner thigh, like this. And you can then switch when we switch to the other sides, okay? But if you can, just bring your heel over to the other side, and this is called shoelace pose. You're going to straighten your back, and then you're going to take your right elbow over your left arm and try to bring your hands together into eagle arms. And if this is comfortable for you in your shoulders, you can inhale and just bring your elbows out just a little bit, like you're trying to bring them towards the sky. And take a breath or two here. And release. And we're going to switch sides. So your right heel comes to your right buttocks, and your left heel, your leg comes over, and your left heel comes to your left buttocks, so that your knees are kind of stacked over each other. And once again, if this is too tight a pose for you, you can bring one leg out and bring your heel to your inner thigh, your left heel to your right inner thigh. And once you're comfortable there, bring your left elbow over your right arm and try to bring your hands together. If you can't bring your hands together, bring them towards each other, just so you feel that nice stretch across your shoulders, okay? And then if this is not too intense, inhale and bring your elbows just a little bit towards the sky. And take a few deep breaths here as you stretch out your shoulders. Remember, you don't want to have your shoulders up near your ears. You want them relaxed. But you should feel a nice stretch across your shoulders, and you should feel a stretch in your hips and in your hip flexors. Remember, belly is still engaged, back is tall. And release. Okay. Now let's come on to our backs, and we can do waterfall pose. So you have a choice here. You can either come up on one block, or you can come up on 2 blocks and bring them underneath your lumbar spine area. And then as you're ready, inhale and bring your feet up to the sky. Now, if this is comfortable for you and you're not having too much stress on your abdomen, so you don't feel like this is working your abdomen too hard, you can come up to a shoulder stand. But before you do a shoulder stand, I want to make sure that you don't crunch your neck, right? So your chin should not come to your chest when you do a shoulder stand. Your chin should be coming up towards the ceiling, not in, because you want to keep that nice curve in your neck when you come up into the shoulder stand. If you're unable to keep your chin up in the shoulder stand, come back to a waterfall. So as you're ready, just inhale, use your abdomen, and bring your feet up to the sky, supporting your back with your elbows. And if you're in this pose, make sure that your chin is reaching towards the ceiling, not towards your chest. Okay? And we're just going to take a few deep breaths here. This is a very active pose, so you want to make sure that your toes are reaching toward the sky, that your abdomen's engaged, your glutes are engaged, and your thighs are engaged. You're kind of zipping up your legs, like there's a zipper down the inside of your legs, and you're zipping them up, and you're pulling your toes towards the ceiling once everything's zipped up. And take one more deep breath, and then slowly come down. And bring the blocks out from underneath you. And we're going to bring our knees to our chest. And maybe roll around a little bit here. I'm going to do one more hip stretch. So take your the ankle of your right foot onto your left knee into figure 4, and then bring your left knee towards your chest until you feel a good stretching sensation but no pain. And exhale and release. And we're going to switch so that your left ankle goes on your left knee. And reach in between and pull your right knee over towards your chest so that you feel a nice stretch along your hip flexors. And then release. And now bring your arms out into a T shape and take your hips and shift them over to the left just a little bit, probably about 2 inches. And then slowly bring your knees towards the floor, stacked on top of each other. Make sure that both shoulders are flat on the ground. And then your knees may not come all the way to the ground, and that's okay, just as long as you're feeling a nice stretch in your spine without any pain. And let's breathe here. And then when you're ready, you can turn your head towards your left arm. And then inhale, engage your belly, and bring your knees up to the sky. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So shift your hips about 2 inches to the right and bring your knees down towards the left, keeping your both shoulders on the ground. If this stretch is really intense and you can't keep your shoulders on the ground, try bringing your knees a little closer in to your body, and that may make it a little easier to get the twist. And just take a few nice, slow, deep breaths here as we wind down. And then engage your belly. Inhale, bring your knees up to the sky. Bring your knees into your chest. Maybe roll your knees around. Just get some, release all those muscles. Nice, slow movement. And then if you want, you can either bring your knees back to your chest, or you can come up into happy baby, heels facing the sky. And we'll take a deep breath here. And as you exhale, just release. And inhale, and exhale, just release and let go. Let go of the day. Let go of any tension or stress that you may be feeling. Let go of any judgments. And inhale and exhale, and see if you can't let go of just a little bit more. Let all the negativity out. And then slowly just bring your feet into constructive rest position with your knees together. And then when you're ready, bring your feet down into Savasana and start to relax